yeah, bro, some movies will touch you. Like Pursuit of Happiness. I don't know if you ever seen that shit. That movie's good by Will Smith. Crazy. Like some parts in there will make me cry. Just it is
Yeah,
what it is.
that scene where he's in the bathroom,
Yeah.
you feel for that guy that just really needs to
Yes.
take a shit and he can't get into that bathroom. It makes me cry every time.
He's trying to get in. That guy's shitting his pants in that subway.
Man had to ride the subway home with his pants filled. It was awful.
In some alternate universe, I want to think that guy is fucking Doughboy. Like, yo, he's the fucking
When the anal leakage started, he's like pounding to get in that door.
I need to get this mud butt clean.
Yo, that's funny.
Yo.
Yo, let me ask you a beautiful question, because I think a lot of people get confused. Why is it hard, right, for us men to show emotions? People, partners, example is like crying during a sad movie. Like, some guys I know get that. I've seen movies that make me tear up a little bit, but it's always like, nah, don't cry. Be a man, I guess, is what people would say. Like, why is that such a stigma that with men? Like, why is it hard for men to show? Why is it a joke? Why is it hard for them to do it? Like, because it's ingrained in us, but without us even knowing. Like, I don't know.
It's kind of a boring answer, but it's just society and culture and things like that. Like, men are raised to be a certain way, and when you act out of that way that you're supposed to be, there'll be reactions to that. And I think the main thing is like sometimes women don't react well to emotional men, or a man that shows emotion and stuff like that. And I think the fact that that's a possibility, that there could be a person that likes you and then you show emotions and then they no longer like you, I think is a big fear that men have, and they're just like, I'm not even going to take the chance to expose that aspect of myself.
I think there's a change that's happening for sure. Like I know like a lot of like the younger millennial moms that I know, the Gen Z moms that I know, like they're making a conscious effort to let their sons know in particular that it is okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel your emotions, because we've got a lot of this generation of men that were raised in that old school. Men don't cry. You suck that shit down. You keep it inside you. You turn it into a pit. That they have trouble expressing themselves properly. So the only thing that their only response to any new stimulus, any new situation is anger. That's why you have so many angry men online right now. So many angry dudes that are like, I don't know, Ariel's black now, and their only response they have is anger about it.
Yeah, that's the racist stuff. That's most of the like people who are just ignorant to that shit. Oh, we don't need that.
I like the redhead people that came out. They took away our only ginger. They took it away.
That's
I can see
beast.
that. Yeah.
Y'all still got Ron. You got all the Weasleys.
You got all the Weasleys.
That motherfucker's there. But it is. I mean, even so though, like without your wife, like they even say, "Oh yeah, you show emotions. I like a man who shows emotions." But when you show too much emotions, I mean, I guess that could be a problem. Like they don't want to. Even the ladies, they will want them. They want a manly man. Like as much as they say no.
Well, we were all raised under the same kind of thing. Like we were all raised under the same idea that men don't cry. Boys should be tough. They should just, whatever. So like we're all still making that kind of transition into like a newer way of being like, yeah, it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay. Here's how to properly express your feelings. Because there's a lot of that because we were told not to express ourselves that way. And it's led to us only having like 2 or 3 emotions that are like, okay, these are the manly emotions you can express. You can be happy, you can be angry, and I don't know. There's like a limited it's like painting a picture with like 3 colors.
Yo, Doe, how hard is it? You think it's hard for men to show emotions with their people, with their partners? Like, is it like because it's like, oh, you got to be a tough guy, right? Like, do you show emotions?
Yeah.
Partners or anything like that?
I think that's a pretty negative aspect of the machismo culture. I think that's like one of the biggest issues I think It some people get the emotions beat out of them because
Damn.
their parents are so. I've seen it. Stop crying. Stop crying. Oh.
You want to cry? I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah. And not to say that it doesn't work in some aspects or some forms. I just I've seen it do a lot of damage to people.
I mean, I would say it doesn't work at all. Like, you should not beat your kid for crying. It doesn't actually.
No, for
it's
sure.
not fixing anything.
For sure. But I think it would be the same thing as telling them, if you don't stop crying, you're going to be punished or something like that. I'm going to take something away from you. You know what I mean? I feel like idle threats sometimes work. I feel like you just have scared. You gotta bluff them. You know?
They can. I mean, they claim that like positive reinforcement is like the way to go now. Like that's what a lot of the research is saying. I'm sure that there's going to be some tweak to that in some amount of years as we learn more and more about the way that human development works and the brain works and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough, right? Like it is definitely like a thing that I still feel. I feel like I'm pretty good at like expressing my emotion. But like the other day I watched that movie Pearl, and that movie is wild. But there's this scene at the end. There's like this extended scene at the end that like there's a lot of emotion going on in that scene. And I was there watching this movie by myself, and I had like was feeling teary eyed because of how much this movie was like focusing this like emotion on you. And I felt a little weird. I was like I had this initial thought of, I'm just here in the theater by myself with my eyes all watery. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. It was a good ass movie. It hit me. That's the entire point of this movie. It's supposed to get an emotional response out of you. So they did it properly.
I be crying at movies all the time, bro. Like I watch a movie and I'll just cry for random things. But you're right. As much as, especially me and my wife, we have a really good relationship. Like we are open with each other and stuff like that. So I've cried in front of her multiple times. I still feel shame when I do it though. Like I feel like I need to hide it. Like I'm wiping it away all quick and shit. And it's like, all right, there's a toxicity there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That like, I don't know. I'm open. I will speak about being open with your emotions and stuff like that. But then even me, I still have problems expressing it. Like I try with some things, but there's still some things that I'm just like, nah, I'm going to keep that to myself. Or
It's weird too, Pooch, because it's like I've cried in front of my partner before and I'll feel that shame. But I also cried in front of you and I didn't feel no shame. Like, it was weird. I guess maybe it was like a brother thing, like it's like
it's that you don't want your woman to think less of you. Okay,
probably
it's just that
subconsciously, right?
It's like
subconsciously.
Like, it's like a dude. You still may feel that way too. Like there are maybe men that you wouldn't want to cry around because you don't want them to think less of you.
I know that every woman's initial reaction is, I'd love a man to be emotional. I'd love a man to cry in front of me, but I gotta be 1,000% honest. I don't believe it. I think that's a very small margin of people. I think people will think less of you if you're like crying and stuff like that. I really, just like people fat shame, just like people do the like. There's like an emotional shame as well in our society. That if you're at any way being too sensitive or too emotional about something,
there's a limit, though.
You're a snowflake and you're this. So yeah, of course, there's a limit to anything, and I call it fanaticism. Once you're like a fanatical level of doing something, I'm like, I can't take it. I'm like, I can't fuck with you.
Yeah, and I think that what we're seeing right now is just that like that limit is just it's just pushing a little bit. It's definitely not all the way there. Like there's not acceptance to like cry about everything. Like did I tell you all about going to the aquarium and there was a woman there having this terrible day? She was like on the ground bawling, holding this kid.
That's
and
horrible.
It was awful, but like it makes you like, it gives you emotional response. Like you want to go and like figure out what's going on and help and whatnot. But I can say that I've never seen a dude like just sitting on the street crying like that. Maybe it's different in New York because I know New York is a wild place for shit like that. Like you might see that a little bit more often. But it was like, that would be different enough if it was a guy just sitting there crying like that.
Yeah.
If it was a guy crying like that, that guy's life is over. The worst imaginable shit happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
to be crying in public with the kid in his hands, somebody died. That shit.
But that's the thing. It's like we're expected, and I think it's a double standard. We're expected to deal with shit at a higher level, and I don't think that's everybody's reality. I think some people like hit their level very early. I'm like, all right, I'm capped out on bullshit. Like, I can't take this anymore.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the same way.
I got a twitch on this though. What if you're dating someone and like you're watching like the saddest movie in the fucking world? You're watching something that makes you cry every time. You're watching fucking Graveyard of the Fireflies or something. Yeah. And you look over at this person, not even watery. Their eyes are dry as the desert. Is that a red flag? Is that a warning sign?
Yeah, that is a warning sign.
Oh, it definitely is. I have friends that have watched things that have broke me, and they're just like solid as a statue, and I'm just I can't trust this person. Like, you have no emotional response to this. There's no empathy. You don't got nothing. I can't trust that shit.
It's the good old game of baseball. It's called Hardball with Keanu Reeves. He goes to like this thing. There's this little kid, baby boy or some shit, like Lil G, some shit like that. You get shot. Yo, my nigga, every time I cry. I shed tears for this little child, bro.
Shit is depressing. That's.
I found out recently a white man wrote that fucking movie. I was like, oh man, this is terrible. Some white guy who thought he knew about black culture. I was like, all right, this is lame.
Why does it matter though? White, black, brown. Why would that matter?
It's kind of like a white man writing the black experience.
But if it's on the money, if it's factual, why
dude, have you seen David Simon? The guy wrote The Wire, The Coroner. There's no choice. I think he's a Jewish man. Like, you know what I mean?
Jewish people get the pass.
What?
Yeah, Jewish people get the pass, bro.
I don't care color or not. I'm just saying, like, I always find that odd. Like, a lot of people do that, not just you. They'll add like, oh, it's a white guy did it. That shit's a piece of shit. But if you watch it without knowing, you'll love it. It's just stupid to me. People can.
I found out another movie that I loved. I don't think you guys remember. It was the lady that goes to the school. This is a really bad school, and like she has a bunch of bad kids. It's like the classic ghetto school kids.
Freedom Riders?
No, it was before that. It was like the older one.
Wait, say it again. The what?
It starts off with
or something.
It was like this lady. It's a I don't.
She's an ex-cop. Okay.
Yes, or some shit like that.
I know.
Or
Dangerous
like
Minds.
ex-military. There you go.
Dangerous Minds, yeah.
A white man also wrote that. And they also switched out with mad shit. They did, before the writer of the book, it was like a hip-hop poetry contest. Why these people try to make it the Bob Dylan contest? I'm like, these niggas ain't listening to no Bob Dylan in the hood. It's like, that shit ain't, they will ridicule you.
Yeah. Back in the day, bro, people listen to rock. That shit was not cool. It was you would get ridiculed for it. It was you were, especially in the hood, you were a special type of character if you listened to like rock and shit like that. Like, I remember one time me and my cousin, right, we went to a football game and we got up to like cheer, and then we turned around, and then there was this like rocker kid like sitting behind us, and my cousin's reaction, he was so pissed. He's like, yo, we just stood up to clap and shit. Someone sat down in the bleachers. He was like, yo, we got up and clapped. We turned around and there was just mad Nirvana behind us. That shit was funny.
That's crazy. I didn't know.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't think that New York's the only place for it. I think anywhere else, like that's just that one age group where rock wasn't as mainstream as it is like now, or it's not even mainstream now, but more people listen to it now. It wasn't like that because growing up, I listened to Linkin Park and Red Hot Chili Peppers, and people around me were like, what the fuck are you listening to? Even the white kids would be like, yo, what the fuck are you listening to? I'm like,
man, that's interesting too. Like the two examples you give to like Red Hot Chili Peppers and Linkin Park are kind of like, there's some of the rock artists that blend with like other styles a lot, like in their music. They're not like pure rock, you know?
Like Fred Durst.
They get the pass. Like Jay-Z dropped the album with Linkin Park. Like they get the pass.
Encore.
Like,
Rage Against the Machine.
That's another one. Sure. But do you think it would be weird if a rock superstar started crying on stage and all his fans were like
Sublime.
Oh, I've seen it. I've definitely
seen
seen
that?
like the lead singer singing like a real emotional song or something that's like real deep to them. I've 100% seen like, you know, a musician like crying on
you
stage.
think all the guys were crying with him too?
Just
all
the
fans?
other day, there was the guy from the Foo Fighters. He was
Dave Grohl?
singing.
Dave Grohl?
Yeah, he was crying on stage because the drummer or one of the Foo Fighters recently died. I don't know.
Yeah, the drummer passed away. They had his son playing with them.
Oh
I
wow.
see, yeah, see, that'll break anybody.
Damn, that sucks.
It happens.
Yeah, don't be afraid to be emotional, guys. A lot of guys out there make jokes like, "Oh, fucking crying because of my eyes itching." You're fucking crying because of because of a movie. Da, 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 da. It's like, yeah, bro. Some movies will touch you, like Pursuit of Happiness. I don't know if you ever seen that shit. That movie's good by Will Smith. Crazy. Like some parts in there will make me cry. Just it is
Yeah,
what it is.
that scene where he's in the bathroom,
Yeah.
you feel for that guy that just really needs to
Yes.
take a shit and he can't get into that bathroom. It makes me cry every time.
He's trying to get in. That guy's shitting his pants in that subway.
Man had to ride the subway home with his pants filled. It was awful.
In some alternate universe, I want to think that guy is fucking Doughboy. Like, yo, he's the fucking
When the anal leakage started, he's like pounding to get in that door.
I need to get this mud butt clean.
Yo, that's funny.
Yo,
And,
but
and
back
Will
to
Smith
the,
and Will Smith is just not letting him in.
yeah. Back to the topic though. I think honestly, if I wanted to say what the best relationship I could have would be a person that I could tell my emotions to, that I'm not nervous, being emotional around, but at the same time, there's just so many expectations from us. Men are expected to behave a way, women are expected to behave a way. And as time goes on, those boundaries get broken down. But I think a lot of people still follow that traditional pattern. Even though we're super far from it, I think we still have a lot of it baked into our society. So I think you do have to be careful, bro, who you show your emotions to, who you allow to come in. The worst thing is having my significant other, my loved one, throw back the trauma that I gave them, that I was like, yo, this, and then they're like, oh, you little bitch, but we're crying about this. I was like, you be like, oh shit, I can't trust you. When the time comes, when shit hits the fan, you will throw that shit back at me, and you will use it as like ammo. And I've had that happen in relationships. So I would say you would have to really know the person you're with. I'm not saying that, people are evil, but I do say that you have to be reserved sometimes. You can't stay open all the time. You know what I mean? Because then you're giving too much. I don't know how to describe it. I would say temper yourself.
I think when you're sharing trauma, you just need to be careful with who you're sharing trauma with, because if you're I still stand by, you don't need to misrepresent yourself to people to get them interested in you, but you don't need to share every aspect of your trauma until you know that you can trust that person with that trauma.
Yep.
Protect your heart, man.
I think if someone throws shit in your face like that in like an argument or something, just dump that person. That person's a piece of shit.
It's
That's
hard
straight
when
up-
you're.
That's toxic.
It's hard when you're emotionally invested.
Nah,
fuck that
that's
investment, bro.
lost cause fallacy.
You
I
lost
put-
your investment already. That's it. It's done. It's done. Just get piece the fuck out. That's where you're gonna spend the rest of your life with that bullshit. Hell no.
We're back to the fucking last call Sal shit again. Shit.
That's
Better
me.
call
That's
Saul.
Or
That's me
whatever
and
it
Tony.
is.
That's me and Tony at the fucking blackjack table, $300 in, and we got $50 of chips left. It's like, well, I already lost $300. I may as well put this last 50 on too.
And then you hit, and then you double, then you triple it up. That's a big win.
I was playing the podcast in the break room while I was getting ready for work, and Mateo made one of his infamous Better Call Saul references, and someone in the room actually knew what he was talking about, and they were like, whoa, they were like, that came out of nowhere. And I'm like, yeah, he watches Better Call Saul, he keeps doing this to us, and he's like, dude, that's a spoiler. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
that's fucked up. Mateo's spoiling shit for everyone.
He is. He's dropped a couple of things that I'm like, wow, you went for it. You know?
It's funny.